Ave Regina, Mater misericordiae, vita dulcedo, estes nostra salve.
The Lord be with you.
And with your spirit.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to St. Mark. When Jesus had crossed again in the boat to the other side, a large crowd gathered around him, and he stayed close to the sea. One of the synagogue officials named Jairus came forward. Seeing him, he fell at his feet and pleaded earnestly with him, saying, "My daughter is at the point of death. Please come lay your hands on her, that she may get well and live." He went off with him, and a large crowd followed him and pressed upon him. There was a woman afflicted with hemorrhages for 12 years. She had suffered greatly at the hands of many doctors and had spent all that she had. Yet she was not helped, but only grew worse. She had heard about Jesus and came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak. She said, "If I but touch his clothes, I shall be cured." Immediately, her flow of blood dried up. She felt in her body that she was healed of her affliction. Jesus, aware at once that power had gone out from him, turned around in the crowd and asked, "Who has touched my clothes?" But his disciples said to Jesus, "You see how the crowd is pressing upon you, and yet you ask, 'Who touched me?'" And he looked around to see who had done it. The woman, realizing what had happened to her, approached in fear and trembling. She fell down before Jesus and told him the whole truth. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has saved you. Go in peace and be cured of your affliction." While he was still speaking, people from the synagogue official's house arrived and said, "Your daughter has died. Why trouble the teacher any longer?" Disregarding the message that was reported, Jesus said to the synagogue official, "Do not be afraid, just have faith." He did not allow anyone to accompany him inside except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. When they arrived at the house of the synagogue official, he caught sight of a commotion, people weeping and wailing loudly. So he went in and said to them, "Why this commotion and weeping? The child is not dead, but asleep." And they ridiculed him. Then he put them all out. He took along the child's father and mother and those who were with him, and entered the room where the child was. He took the child by the hand and said to her, "Talitha cum," which means, "Little girl, I say to you, arise." The girl, a child of 12, arose immediately and walked around. At that they were utterly astounded. He gave strict orders that no one should know this, and said that she should be given something to eat. The Gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ.
Don't worry, I only have a 25-minute homily today. Since things have opened up from COVID, there can be an awkwardness on how to greet people. Do I give a handshake, a hug? Do I just wave until wait for them to make the first move? It has been a challenge and a loss because touch is a gift. It is a gift from God. Yes, it can be abused, but God means touch to be a gift. Touch is extremely important for babies. It is how they know that they are loved, and that they are safe. But it's important for teenagers and adults as well. The gospel is filled with stories of Jesus touching and healing, and people wanting to touch Jesus. In today's gospel, Jesus is surrounded by many who want to touch him, but he has a surprise encounter with a woman who merely touches his clothes and energy comes out of him. The woman has suffered from hemorrhaging for 12 years, bleeding, blood pouring forth. And in their culture, in the Jewish culture, by law, she is unclean and considered an outcast. She was not allowed into the temple. She was not allowed to touch anyone. For over 12 years, she was not allowed to touch anyone. And then we are told more suffering. She has suffered greatly by the hands of many doctors and spent all she had. I think of that, for 12 years, going from one doctor to another doctor to another doctor, spending all this money, nothing changes. And then she's isolated from family and loved ones. She's poor. Where does she get food to eat? Can we even begin to imagine her sufferings? The woman knows that she cannot touch or be touched by Jesus, but her immense faith, her desperation is such that she touches his clothes. If only I touch his clothes, I know something will happen. And she is healed of everything. It was better than winning the lottery. Jesus' mercy and generosity is never outdone. She's not only healed physically, now she can work again, now she can touch, she can handshake, she can hug, she can be part of a community again. Daughter, your faith has saved you. As I was meditating on this gospel, I became aware of how many people are suffering spiritually hemorrhaging. We can hemorrhage from fear. There is so much fear and anxiety today. It's all around. We can suffer from anger. How easily people are angered today. They could seem fine one moment, say something they don't like, and you're done. Loneliness, depression, addictions, control. There's lots of spiritual hemorrhaging going on. And we are often hemorrhaging because we are turning to ourselves, to others, or material things, worldly solutions to stop the spiritual bleeding. Sometimes, like the woman in today's gospel, we have to spend everything. We have to become completely worn out and exhausted before we surrender everything completely over to Jesus. In my faith journey, I keep having health setbacks. I believe I'm healing. I see myself improving. And then out of nowhere, a new ailment, a new physical problem comes up. And I get very upset with Jesus. Why are you doing this to me, Jesus? I'm doing everything to heal. A little help, please. Yesterday, I heard confessions for the sisters of the Precious Blood Monastery. Afterwards, in prayer, I was complaining to God about the new pain in my foot. In front of Jesus, present in the tabernacle, I heard him say this to me. It was interior. Rick, you are hemorrhaging like the woman in tomorrow's gospel. You are hemorrhaging fear and lack of childlike trust in me. When a setback happens, stop saying, "Why are you doing this to me?" And instead say, "Jesus, I don't know why this is happening, but thank you so much for being here with me, for healing, comforting me, strengthening me. I couldn't do this without you." My brothers and sisters, are there areas in your life that you are hemorrhaging? What is consuming you? What are you obsessed with? What can you not stop thinking about? A young man I met with a couple days ago said he had to stop watching the news because he was being consumed by it. It wasn't good for him. We are so blessed, my brothers and sisters. We are able to touch more than Jesus' clothes. He touches us and enters into our hearts. He can heal all the hemorrhages in our lives. Jesus in the Eucharist is the person of Jesus, more than just an abiding presence. And the tabernacle, right here, and the monstrance, on the altar of sacrifice, he sees you. He watches you. He hears you. He speaks to you. His heart pours forth his healing grace and mercy, and he desires to dry up all of our hemorrhages. What is so beautiful is that his healing power goes out of him with each Eucharist, but the resurrected Jesus never grows tired or weary. The last people in line coming up for communion will receive as much the healing power of Jesus Christ as the first people in line. Do we really believe this? Do we really believe he can heal all the hemorrhages in our lives? What I am about to say is not a judgment, but an observation. In the past month, I was at a couple masses when Father Mo said, "The bishop is dropping the mask and other COVID protocols." People clapped, cheered, some even shouted, and it wasn't even the 11:30 Mass. I was at some other masses when Father Mo said, "I want to open up 24 hours adoration again, but I need you to sign up. I need your help." And there was silence. I could hear the crickets. Not judging, it's just an observation. The Eucharistic presence, the person of Jesus Christ, is in the Blessed Sacrament. With his eyes of divine mercy, he is looking at us now. Right from that tabernacle, he is looking upon us. He is listening to our worship. And he's listening to what is deep within our hearts. He is speaking to us. And from his sacred hands and heart, he is touching us. Be not afraid to be touched by him.
Regina Celi, letare